Hi, welcome to the Hire You Workforce Summit 2021. My name is Stephen Bridges. I'm with Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Cedar Hill Economic Development Corporation and the Cedar Hill Chamber of Commerce for having us here today to speak to you about virtual employment opportunities. Now, before I get into that too much, I just want to share a little bit more about me because, I'm important. No, I'm just kidding. I want to share a little bit more about my organization that I work for because I really feel like there's a lot of value in our organization of the services that we share because that we provide, and I really think that you're going to get a lot out of that. So hang on just a second. Let me just share with you my presentation, and we'll go from there. All right. So hopefully you can all see this. This is the title, Virtual Employment, the Future of Work is Now. And so we're going to be talking about, obviously, virtual employment opportunities and what that means. We're going to look at some opportunities. We're going to talk about the skill sets that are needed for those opportunities and maybe some pros and cons and some tips on helping you to be successful if you're looking at going virtual. So before we do, though, I would like to tell you a little bit about us, about Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas. As I mentioned, there's a lot of value in the services we provide, and there's a lot of people that don't know about the services that are available to them on a daily basis. Now, Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas is not the Texas Workforce Commission. However, we do provide the workforce services in Dallas County for them, right? So we have 8 workforce centers throughout the Dallas area. And you can see here on your screen, we've got one in Garland, Grand Prairie, Irving, Redbird, Preston Alpha, the Pleasant Grove, off of Pleasant Grove, that area, Opportunity Workforce Center, which is kind of downtown, south of downtown, around MLK and Malcolm X area. And of course, our Greenville Workforce Center, which is off Greenville Road. All of these centers are there to help people find jobs and to help jobs find people. So we work with both employers and job seekers in trying to match them up. And so we serve both, and we can assist you in finding work as well. Now, these centers are closed to the public at this moment, just basically for health reasons, right? But all of our services, however, are still available to you. You can call the numbers here that are listed, and feel free to call the workforce centers, and they will direct you to someone who can assist you one-on-one with your job search. Now, you may be in a situation where you need training because the skills that you have are no longer in demand, or you need to, find a different occupation for a job that is more in demand. That's maybe less, this COVID prone or less COVID prone, right? So definitely contact us because we do have training programs as well. We also have workshops that go on as far as resume writing, interviewing techniques. There's workshops on our Work in Texas system. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. But definitely go on our website even, the wfsdallas.com that you see listed here. Check us out. Call the centers, talk to someone, but don't try to do job search on your own. We've got 8 workforce centers that are staffed with professionals that are there to help you. Now, as we move forward, the reason we want to help you is because we know that job search can be messy, very messy, especially if you're in a situation where you haven't had to look for a job in a while. Maybe your resume isn't up to date, you haven't interviewed in forever, right? Job searching is a skill. We teach job search skills because it's a skill, just like math is a skill. I feel like I'm pretty good at math, but I probably couldn't do all of the algebraic equations that I did back in, college or even high school for that matter, because I have not brushed up on those skills. Well, you need to brush up on your job search skills. And that's what we're there to help you do, to help you put your best foot forward and to connect, because job searching can be messy. You don't want to go out there not knowing what you're doing, not knowing if you're putting your best foot forward. And so we want to be there for you to help you do that. Now, maybe you're in that situation. Maybe you've lost your job at no fault of your own, and you're maybe it was pandemic related. Who knows? But maybe you're just looking for a job and you're looking for a better job. Well, we have resources that can assist you and help you out. And I want to talk to you a little bit about some of those. But first of all, we encourage people, make sure that you identify your transferable skills, right? Because if you're transferring one job to another, you need to know what those are. Now, a lot of times people are like, what are transferable skills? People just throw that term out there like we're supposed to know what it means, right? it's not necessarily something that is, mysterious. Transferable skills, here's the definition. It's skills that you pick up in one occupation, right, or one employment setting that you can seamlessly transfer to your next job. And so many people suggest that these are all soft skills, and I would say that they're not. And they're actually skills that, let's say, for instance, customer service. I was recently talking with an employer who said we require 6 months of customer service experience. They said, but however, even though we are a call center, we don't require it from a call center. You could have 6 months of customer service experience in a retail setting or in a restaurant. But as long as you have that customer mindset and you know how to treat people, right, as their customers, and you know how to provide good, strong customer service, that's what they were looking for. So see, even customer service is a transferable skill that can go from one job to another. So we encourage you to identify those transferable skills that you can easily transfer into another job, especially if you're going to be looking at virtual opportunities that we're going to talk about in just a moment. So let's talk about a couple more resources that can also assist you. We have this careeronestop.org. Now, this is a great website. This thing is full of information and assessments and labor market information, what's going on, skills assessments, you name it. So, because you may be in a situation like, I don't really know what my skill sets are or what my transferable skills are. Well, you can go to this Career One Stop website and actually up in the up in the search bar, type in skills assessments. That's going to bring up several different skills assessments that you can go in, take a quick test, and it'll tell you what your skill sets are. It's also got a skills matching assessment, which is really good because it'll match you up to the occupations that your skill sets would qualify you for, possibly in other jobs. So definitely check that out. That website is just excellent to assist you and equip you with understanding what your skills are about and how you can translate those into your next job. The other website I'd like to tell you about is workintexas.com. Now, this is our website that we utilize. It's the state's job search matching system, right? And so this is where you can apply and you can search for jobs. Once you've identified those skills, right, you can search and apply for jobs. And this matching system, it pretty much spiders out and it gathers all of the different job search engines, their opportunities into one area. So it's like a one-stop shop. And so you register in there and you can see all of these. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of job opportunities. Employers are hiring like crazy right now, believe it or not. And so if you're looking for that, you can do that through this system, and it tells you how to apply. It'll match you up with jobs that you're interested in, that you qualify for, and it tells you how to apply. It's a free system. Both of these are, definitely. And so these are paid for by your tax dollars, so use them. Right. And in fact, if you're receiving unemployment insurance, you're required to register in workintexas.com to look for jobs. You don't have to be receiving unemployment insurance to register in that, but because it's open for the public, right? You can even have a job and be looking for a better job and use that system and use our services as well. So definitely check those resources out. If you're in a situation where you're currently looking and you're not sure exactly what the next step is, and call our offices because we definitely want to be there to assist you. All right, so let's talk about virtual employment. Now, the future of work is now. The reason I entitled that The Future of Work is Now is because there has been a huge shift in employment in our country, obviously. Due to the pandemic, what many people were predicting would happen years down the road happened within a year, right? There was what they call in many industries a great reset, especially in manufacturing. There's been a great reset. There's been resets in all these different industries because people have had to rethink the way they do their jobs. I know whenever we first started here, we started working from home. I'm actually working from home right now. I'm virtually employed, I guess you would say. And so whenever we first started this out, though, we had to figure out, and many of these companies had to scramble and figure out how to provide their services that they normally would provide face-to-face, just like this, to their customers virtually, right? Online, over the phone, via all the different technologies that we can use. And so, thus virtual employment really started taking a hold big time throughout the US. For example, pre and post-pandemic numbers. Before the pandemic, let's say probably before, I would say March, right, of 2020, probably February previously. People that worked remotely from their home was right at 8%. 8% of the workforce. The other 92% were going to work every day, to a workplace that was outside their home. Now, that was the main statistics. However, post-pandemic, it jumped to 42%. 42% of American workforce is currently working remotely and from their homes, right? So we have 58% that are still going, but 42% are now working remotely. Now these numbers, people argue about some of these numbers, and there's a little bit of differences in different people's reporting. But just to show you, I've got a couple of different sources here. The Stanford News, they said that we see an incredible 42% of the US's labor force now working from home, now working full-time, or from home full-time. However, here in Dallas, the Federal Reserve Bank, they did a study that showed that only 24% of employed workers were working from home every day in August, while an additional 18% did so some days. Now, if you think about it and you really look at those numbers, you've got a 24% and an 18%. 24 full-time, 18% are sometimes they're working from home, who previously weren't, right? So now that you add those numbers together, that's the 42%, right? So 42% still are working from home at least 2 or 3 days out of the week, if not full time. That is a huge jump from the 8% of workers who were telecommuting before the pandemic. Now, let me just look right here really quick. It looks like I may have some things in the chat. I just want to make sure that I pay attention to that. Let's see if there's anything I need. Nope, nothing I need there yet. I guess they'll let me know. All right, perfect. So I just thought that was very interesting, because as we shift from our regular workforce working in a workplace to working from home and a lot of telecommuting, a lot of people are like, well, what is that all about? What types of jobs actually, could I do working from home? So let's talk about that just a little bit. And what does it take to work from home? Well, here's some examples of some virtual opportunities. I did a search on this one company that I really know that they provide most of their opportunities virtually. And here's some examples of the virtual opportunities that they were sharing. You could be a business development representative, right? A consultant from home. You can be a Salesforce architect, if you know that, if you know Salesforce and that software. A senior data analyst or engineer. A marketing specialist, a senior learning and development manager. Wow, learning and development. So if you're into that for your organization, a senior learning and development manager, you can do that from home. Inside sales representative. Now it sounds like a lot of these, here's a workforce management director. Sounds like a lot of these are definitely technical, right? They probably require a lot of higher education, and many of the virtual opportunities they do require a little bit more education than just a high school degree, but there are also some that do not. For example, I also found a customer service representative job that did not require a college degree. There's also virtual assistants. Now there's a lot of talk right now about virtual assistants. It's kind of like the hot job now. People are wanting, I want to be a virtual assistant. You hear a lot about that now, right? But what does that exactly mean? What is a virtual assistant? Let me share with you just what I found. A virtual assistant. Now, in a study of over 100,000 job listings, FlexJob found virtual administration of one of the top 5 fastest growing remote categories. So far beyond all those others, that were virtual administration, right? Virtual admin or assistant was one of the top. Excuse me, I talk fast, so I need water. All right. But a virtual assistant is a self-employed worker who specializes in offering administrative services to clients from a remote location, usually office or home. That's basically the definition. Now, this could be you if you have those skills and if you have that desire. The typical tasks: scheduling appointments, making phone calls, travel arrangements, managing email accounts, but it also gets more specific in the fact that it could be graphic design. It could be blog writing, bookkeeping, social media, right? Marketing services. These are things that people specialize in. And I found this media on, found this information on Investopedia.com. You can go there and check it out. They have a lot more information than I'm able to share with you today. Now, if you're interested in being a virtual assistant, you're like, well, that sounds pretty cool. I think I could possibly do that. I've got office skills. I've got, believe I have the ability to provide those type of services virtually from my house. Well, there's a couple of different areas, companies that kind of specialize that I found in this. And one is Fiverr, Fiverr.com. You can check them out. And the other one was Mod Virtual, or My Outdesk, right? They provide virtual assistants to other companies. And Fiverr allows you the opportunity to kind of pretty much be self-employed and to put your services out there for people to hire you to do these specific things for them from the comfort of your own home. Now, while many people can do this, some people, it's just not for them. For example, but let's talk about it first. Let's talk about this job. We talked about earlier the the assistants, right? The virtual assistants, how they didn't need, not all of them need a high school or college degree, I'm sorry. Here's another one that I found does not. There is actually a company, okay, that will be hiring over 10,000 work from home representatives. Now, many of these jobs that we found, especially this customer service representative, do not require a college degree. You can see here are the job requirements: the high school graduate, right? Exceptional communication skills. And we're going to talk about those more here in just a little bit, but definitely working virtually requires exceptional communication skills. 6 months more of customer service experience. There you go. A quiet place in your home where you can work without background noise. Now, this is essential for working remotely. The last thing you want are dogs barking or kids screaming or people blaring a TV or hollering in the background, right? So you have to have a nice quiet place where you can work. And then also it lists the different types of equipment that you would need in order to work for this company. If you're interested in the information about this company, we are actually having a job fair for them. We're having a Facebook Live job fair. Many of you might be watching this on Facebook today, but we at Workforce Solutions, I really encourage you to follow our Facebook page, because we go live with a lot of these employers and they talk about their opportunities, and you can hear straight from them about what they're looking for. Ask questions of them in the chat. It's really a great opportunity. So look for Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas on Facebook, and make sure you follow us and watch when we go live, because when we do go live, it's usually we're going live with an employer, and it may be something that you're interested in. So we are going live with this employer in January. We're getting it set up right now. And so we're going to help them to try to fill some of these 10,000 work from home positions. So if you're interested in that, make sure you follow us. You can contact me later on for details about the company. I don't want to be, doing commercial for them here, but I just wanted to share with you, this is an example of some of the jobs that we're finding out there. Like, yes, many of them do require degrees and require higher skills, but at the same time, there's many great entry-level type opportunities. Customer services working from home. All right. But maybe you're like, well, I just don't know yet. I don't know if this is for me. What is it really like? Could I do that? I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there, but I've been working from home for the last 8, almost 9 months, right? And so it was very new to me. There was a lot of things that I had to learn, a lot of challenges that I had to overcome, but at the same time, there are some pros and some cons to being able to work, remotely. outside of an office and on your own at home. And let me just share a little bit about what it's been really like. For instance, you have pros such as you can work in your underwear. No, I'm not in my underwear. So, but actually, you can, in other words, I used to have to wear a tie to work every day, right? Dress up in a suit or something, depending on the meeting I was going to. But you can actually, walk straight in if you're not having customers, right? Or anything, you're not facing customers on your laptop or on a camera like this, you can just show up in your t-shirt or whatever. So that's a pro, right? You don't have to get all dressed up and everything. You can just come as you are and, still got some bedhead going on. That's okay if you're just working on your computer. So yes, a pro is, yes, you can work in your underwear, but a con is working in your underwear. I think we've all probably seen some of those videos where people forgot that they were on camera or they forgot to turn it off and got up and, and were walking away and you just saw something you just totally did not want to see, right? So you have to be careful about some of that. But at the same time, coming to work casually, you have to be careful about that too, because I know even today, right? I feel like today, I don't know, it's just a little bit extra special because I was able to come and present to you guys today. And so I, put on a nicer shirt. I'm not in my t-shirt. I'm not in a ball cap, right? I got my vest on. I'm not wearing a tie, but hey, I wanted to step it up a little bit because I really felt like, you know what, I want to give it my best. And so I don't know, whenever I just dress up a little bit, I feel like I'm doing better work. I don't know why. So anyway, that can be a con if you're just lackadaisical all the time or just kind of lounging in your warm-ups or whatever, or your PJs. That might show up in your work. I don't know, but I like it. I like to dress up a little bit. Okay, here's another one. Pros, you're at home, right? No commute. I used to work downtown Dallas, before this, and I live outside of Dallas, and my commute was no less than an hour. I could always count on an hour, sometimes longer. So that's 2 hours going and coming, right? Out of my day that was just spent in my car, right? So I feel like I've gotten some of my time back. So that's great. I'm at home, there's no commute. But a con to that is work-life balance, because now my job is here. Now my job is right, I just walk, from my living room through the den into my office. And so it's right here. And sometimes it's hard to turn that off. Sometimes it's difficult to just, switch off the computer and everything and stop answering emails and stop working because your work is right there. So you have to set some boundaries, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But sometimes that can be a con. Having your work at home can really, you want to avoid burnout. That's the main thing. Another pro is you're autonomous, right? You don't have somebody looking over your shoulder all the time. What you're doing, did you take a longer than a 15-minute break, or you've already taken 2 5-minute breaks that, not that happens at my work, but you don't have people just looking over your shoulder. But at the same time, there's temptations and distractions while you're at home. I mean, you may have a closet that's been calling you to clean it out for the last, 6 months or whatever. You might have, you might get distracted on Facebook or maybe doing some online shopping from Amazon. Amazon's been showing up at my house regularly here lately. And I'm not sure if it's me or my wife, but anyway, I'm not going to lay any blame. But it happens. I know my neighbor across the street, every day Amazon shows up, every day, and while she was working from home. So anyway, there are some temptations and distractions. Pros also, there's no office distractions. Many times you go to the office, right, and you have people coming at you in and out of your area or talking to you and needing something from you. I know whenever I was managing a team, I felt like I got the most work done after the day was over, just because during the day, all I was doing was managing people's problems, right, and helping them with their stuff. And then I did my work afterwards. So, because I had all these office distractions. So that there's a pro that there's no office distractions, right? Nobody coming here in my house needing something. But at the same time, a con is it could be lonesome. If you're a social butterfly and you need that input, you need people around you, this could be almost torture for some people. And so you have a balance there. You just have to know, is this something for me or is this not? Because working from your home can be lonesome. You save money on gas and eating out. I know, all that 2 hours, in the car, I'm not burning gas. I'm not eating out while I'm downtown, right, all the time. So there's such a temptation, especially if I didn't fix my lunch that day, just to hit the road and I'll grab something on my way out. I have saved so much money on not eating out. It's ridiculous. I just look back at it like, oh my goodness, I was spending so much. And now, everything I have and I eat is kind of, here at my home, and I can cook it and it's right there. It's accessible. So that's one thing. But at the same time, a con is constant snacking opportunities. It's like, okay, I get tired and I need a break. When this first started, I found myself going to the refrigerator probably every 30 minutes, I guess, and just grabbing something and snacking. They talk about the COVID-15 or COVID 2025. Yeah, I definitely saw some of that because it was just there. It was available, right? And when I was at work, I might have some snacks in the break room, but you'd have to pay for those, or maybe it was something in the refrigerator and I just bought it for a specific purpose. But anyway, it wasn't as available. So those are some of the pros and cons. Now, what I would also like to share with you next is this right here, 18 essential skills for remote workers. Because you may be still thinking, okay, well, am I cut out for that? I see the pros, I see the cons, but am I still cut out for that? Do I have the skills necessary to help me become a remote worker? Now, many people may call these skills soft skills. I don't call them soft skills. I call these essential skills because these are essential skills for the workplace. They're not necessarily, if you say soft skills, sometimes people turn those into, or they're just a little bit less value, right? Than technical skills or hard skills. That sounds more solid and more important, right? But it's soft skills. No. These aren't soft skills. These are essential skills that you need for the workplace, especially if you're going to become a remote worker. And so we're going to talk about these just a little bit. Now there's 18 of them, so bear with me, but this is really good information that I think that you're going to appreciate once we're done. So the first one, conflict resolution. You might be thinking, well, okay, I'm working by myself at home. Where's the conflict coming from, right? The thing is, because you're working by yourself at home, many times, you're not face-to-face with people. They can't read you. They can't read what the tone that you put in that email. They can't read, the different things that you're saying sometimes, and sometimes they don't read it or they half read it. And so sometimes there's going to be conflict just based on the fact that you're not there in the same room with people, and there's misunderstandings. It's going to happen. So you have to have the skill of conflict resolution, where you can help mitigate some of that, whether it's through writing a better email or texting or just picking up the phone and talking, right? Doing what you need to do to resolve any conflicts that show up. Another one is you have to be a self-starter. You have to be. No one's going to, say, okay, you got to do this and you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. I mean, usually that's not the case. Usually you're planning your own work, right? You have to think of it much like an entrepreneur, right? I'm working for myself. Well, you're working on your own, but you have to be the one to push yourself. You have to be the one to say, okay, I'm going to work from this time to this time, then I'll take a break, then I'm going to come back to work, I'm going to do this, right? You have to be a self-starter and really get yourself going, because no one's going to be right there motivating you saying, okay, do this, and do this. Organization. You've got to be organized. Now, for me, organization has taken on a different form since I've been remote working. Used to, whenever I was in the office, my organization was files. I would pretty much, anything that was important, I would be printing it out and putting it in a certain file, right? According to whatever I was working on, the project. Now that I'm working from home and I'm using my own paper over here at the printer, I'm printing a lot less, right? So my organizational structure has become totally different. Now I'm creating files electronically. Yes. And so I'm keeping everything organized into certain files that I can find them. And so you have to be organized in order to work remotely. You have to have some form of organization. Self-sufficiency. Now, you don't have the luxury when you're working remotely of having your IT guy right there to ask, hey, I'm having this problem with my computer. Can you come look at it, right? So you might have to do some fixing on your own. You might have to do some problem solving on your own. You have to be self-sufficient, because many times other people, they're working on things too. And so maybe you don't contact them, maybe you do. It just kind of depends, but you've got to be self-sufficient. You can't just wait on somebody else to take care of your problems when you're working remotely. Be self-sufficient. Number 5, independence. Now, this might sound very similar to self-sufficiency, right? You're like, isn't that the same thing? Not necessarily. When you think of independence, think of your confidence, right? You have independence and confidence, your confidence in your ability to handle things on your own, right? Your ability to run a meeting, your ability to spearhead a project, your ability to solve a problem, right? That's your independence. You can do this on your own. And so it's confidence, and that confidence translates through your work. Have you ever listened to someone who wasn't really confident in the way they were presenting? Maybe they were doing a presentation and you could tell the nervousness in their voice, and they just weren't real comfortable with it, right? Well, that translates a lot of times, to your customers over the phone, and sometimes in your other work. So make sure, that you're thinking about this, and, work on your confidence a little bit so that you can step forward and be independent. Self-management. Again, these sound very similar, right? Self-sufficiency, independence, self-management, but they all have little caveats. They're a little bit different. See, at work, usually when you're in the workplace, you're being managed by someone. Someone is managing the work that you do, your time, your projects and everything. When you're working remotely, it's self-management. Your manager knows your skills and your weaknesses and everything. So they try to manage you and the staff accordingly by giving you this project and that way. You, the same way, you have to manage yourself. You have to know what your skills, your strengths and your weaknesses are, and manage around that, and contact someone for help if you need it, because maybe that's not your strength. You have to self-manage, because if you don't self-manage, then sometimes things are going to fall through the cracks, and things aren't going to get done as well as they could have been or should have been done, because we didn't self-manage and ask for help when we needed it. So there's that. Number 7, turning it off. You have to be able to turn it off. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, right? I tell you, when we first started here, working from home, I first started that, I would work till 11 or 12 o'clock at night. Now, mind you, kicking that whole process off and going fully virtual for all of our services to employers and job seekers was a very daunting task, but we were up to the challenge and we did that. So sometimes you have the luxury of being able to put in those hours. But then I got into a habit of it, and I would just sit here past 5, 6, 7 o'clock, just working, just continue working, even when the pressure wasn't on, because I had to get in the habit of turning it off. And so that's a skill, believe it or not. Personality. Now you might ask, you mean personality is a skill? Sorry, I talk so much I get thirsty. Yes, personality is a skill. You have to have some personality whenever you're working remotely, because you don't have the luxury of seeing people face to face and building relationships with people face to face. So some way and somehow you need to find a way, even if you're not the most outgoing person, you have to find a way to let your personality shine through so that you can build relationships with other people, so that they can get to know you, so they can feel more comfortable with you, and you can build trust both with your employer, right, your coworkers, and your customers. So personality is something that's very important that often gets overlooked. And if you're not careful, if you're a remote worker, you can hide behind this computer. You can hide behind the fact that you're a remote worker and you're not in the office, right? Especially if you have a tendency to do that. So make sure that you're letting your personality come out. You're connecting with people, right? And you're allowing them to connect with you. Teamwork. Yeah. You mean, what do you mean? Wait, I'm working on my own. I'm a remote worker. No, you're still probably going to be a part of a team. You're going to have to collaborate on some things. And so definitely there's some softwares that can help you do that, right? Heck, we're doing a Zoom call right here. So I'm sure hopefully there's other people that are paying attention and watching online, and you probably have had the opportunity to participate in some Zoom meetings and everything. So You have to be able to work as a team with other people, right? And collaborate with them, communicate with them. We'll talk about communication in just a moment, because it's another one, might even be the next one. But teamwork is so important to be able to work remotely, because chances are your work doesn't just depend on you, and it doesn't just depend on others. It depends on both of you working together on something. You have to have a strong work ethic, number 10. Whenever I say strong work ethic, I mean doing things to the fullest extent, right, of your ability, not half, how can I say this better? Not halfway doing things, right? Almost slipped there. So you want to make sure that, you are putting your full effort in, and that you're, if anything's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And so make sure that you have a strong work ethic, that you're giving it, your 100%. There's none of this, oh, well, it's good enough, right? Good enough doesn't cover it, especially when you're remote working. Here we go, communication. Communication is huge. Now, whenever I say communication, what am I talking about? Well, you have to know what's important to communicate. You have to know what medium is important to utilize with that communication, right? So what's important to communicate, and how do I communicate it? Is something best done in a text? Is something best communicated via email? Is something best communicated on a Zoom call like this, face to face, right? Or is something best communicated with a phone call? Just pick up the phone and talk. So you have to know exactly what's important and what the best way is to communicate that information. Because what happens is, a lot of times, if you just use one single type of communication, you may be the email queen or the email king, and you're just sending out these long emails, and every time somebody gets an email from you, they're like, oh my goodness, here we go again, because it's a novel that they got to read through. And it's like, this easily could have been a meeting where I could have heard it for myself and we're done. But no, it's just, you have to know exactly what to email, what to communicate, verbally, what is the best medium of communication for what you want to communicate. And sometimes it's a little hard to know, but believe me, if you are working remotely, eventually, hopefully, you're going to catch on, you'll get good at it, because you'll get tired of reading those emails too. All right, here we go. Research. You got to be able to research if you're working remotely. And the reason is, you're not going to have all the answers, right? You have to be solutions minded. You may not have all the answers, but if you know where to find them, hey, Google is our friend, right? YouTube is our friend. When I first started doing this, I had to figure out how to do those live Facebook job fairs that I was talking about, from a Zoom call to broadcasting it live. Whoa, how do I do that? Never done it before. Guess what? I watched some videos. I watched some YouTube videos. I read articles on how to do it step by steps. And so, we learn new things. So you have to be able to have those research skills in order to look up information, either about projects or about companies, your customers. You have to be tech savvy. You don't go into this, hoping that you'll get by if you are not tech savvy. If you don't really know how to use technology, if you don't know how to use the computer, you don't know how to, save things and scan things and create things and, write well. You have to be tech savvy, at least know all of Microsoft Office. There are free classes. We even offer them at the workforce, right? Free classes on all the Microsoft products, where you can learn them, and you yourself can, build up those skills and be tech savvy. Because if you haven't had to use them in a while, well, it's time. It's time to learn. This new workforce requires us to be tech savvy. We can't be dinosaurs. All right. Some people get by without being tech savvy, but for many years, but now it's pretty much requiring us to. So make sure that you're tech savvy. Okay, before I go on, I'm seeing something up in the chat, so let me just check this right quick. All right, check, going great, no questions so far, yay. Okay, 10 minutes left. Oh wow, I gotta hurry. Okay, here we go. All right, critical thinking, you have to be able to problem solve, okay? Make sure that you know how to problem solve. Look at situations from both sides. Don't be narrow-minded, but you have to critically think about problems and be able to come up with solutions, okay? Leadership, definitely, you're a leader. I mean, might not be anybody following you at your home, but you're a leader. basically you have to take the lead, take the helm, and make sure things get done yourself. Attention to detail, right? If you see any misspellings on this, I apologize. I was working on this till about 11 o'clock last night. And so hopefully hopefully you don't see that. Hopefully I've had some attention to detail on this presentation, because it does, show. All right, and a willingness to learn. Always have a willingness to learn. Make sure that you don't think that you know it all. Never go into a situation thinking you know it all, because there's somebody that knows a little bit more than you, or somebody that can definitely lend you a separate view that's going to really help you to hone something, make something better, right? So think about other people, always be willing to learn from them, be humble. And finally, time management. Here we go, with 10 minutes left. We're talking about time management, right? So make sure you know how to manage your time. And whenever you're managing your time, always under promise and over deliver. Almost said that backwards, but always under promise, over deliver. Oh yeah, I can get that for you tomorrow. And then you end up getting it to them at the end of the day today, right? So that's much better than the opposite. Oh, I can get it for you today, and then it comes tomorrow. So make sure you're really good at time management. These are some essential skills for remote workers. If you have these skills and you think you can hone these skills and build on them, then you may be a great candidate for being a remote worker. Okay. How to succeed as a remote worker. Now I got this from Career Karma, so I stole this. This is not my work, but I thought it was great, especially regarding our presentation today. So just really quick. 1, experiment with your work setup. Make sure it works well, right? I experimented using these different backgrounds, like seeing how they work. Number 2, create work-home boundaries. Let people know, hey, I'm going to be working from this time to this time. Please don't come in, right? Create some work-home boundaries. Prepare for meetings. I went over this presentation today, so I did that. A couple times today before we started. Number 4, create accountability for yourself. I have a calendar, and my boss actually has my calendar too. So he knows usually what I'm doing. If I'm doing meetings or presentations, or if I'm going anywhere, he can see what I'm doing. So he's accountable. Be visible at work. Okay, this is really important, especially if you're a remote worker. Because if you're not visible, if they do not see you working or what you're working on, let me just say this. This happens all the time. If people do not know what you're doing, they assume you're not doing anything. And I know it sounds bad. We want to be, oh, they're professional. They're hard at work all the time, right? But if it's not visible, if people don't know what you're doing, many times, most of the time, they assume you're not doing anything. I mean, you think about it. Think about those people that you've worked with, right? And you're like, man, I wonder if you don't know what, James is doing over there. I don't know what James is doing. He's probably not doing anything, right? I don't know what he's doing. And next thing you know, you think you're the only one working, right? But that's not the case. So make sure that your work is visible. So be visible at work, even if it's chatting with your coworkers, with your supervisor every day, make sure that you're visible so that they can know that, they can trust you with that. Communicate clearly and effectively. We talked about this a little bit earlier. We have had situations where somebody didn't read an email, right? Or they didn't read things clearly and they jumped on things. So make sure that you're communicating clearly and effectively. That's number 6. Number 7, work on your health. I wasn't sure exactly what that image was, but obviously it's somebody in one of those swing things that's doing some yoga or something. They're stretching. I don't know. I got some water and fruit there. If I did that, I would probably be in traction for a day or two. But anyway, that's kind of crazy. But anyway, yes, work on your health. Get up and take walks, because you can get so busy that you sit way too long, right? So make sure you're taking care of your health as well. Set clear responsibilities. Know what you're doing. Right? Know what you're doing, know what you're required to do, what your requirements are, and hold yourself accountable. Talk with your team. Make sure that communication is going everywhere, because especially when you're remote working, you can get in a habit of just doing your own thing. There's so much value that others can contribute to your work, right? If you just talk to them. So make sure you're always open to talking with your team. And number 10 says, take time to socialize. Hey, go outside, talk to the neighbor across the street, do something, call a friend while you're on break or on your lunch break, right? Take some time to socialize. So these are some things on how to succeed as a remote worker. And finally, a few final tips for success. And I'm wrapping it up. A few final tips that I've found, definitely write down what you want to get done. You know, I've got a list. I keep a list, right? And when I'm done with that thing, I check that off. Write down the things that you want to get done and get them done. If you have them written in front of you, they'll be top of mind. Otherwise, they're out of sight, out of mind. So make sure you do that because you don't have a boss that's sitting there telling you do this, do that, do this, do that, usually. Give yourself enough time to do each task. We already talked about that, right? Time management. When I sat down to do this presentation, actually yesterday, because I thought, I'll just do it take me a couple of hours on Sunday. Yeah, I sat down at 6 o'clock. My wife came in at 11 and said, I'm going to bed now. So I obviously did not give myself enough time to get all this information together for you guys, but I did today. I did get it all done. I just didn't, not in the time I allowed. Anyway. I digress. Okay, find an accountability partner. Now, this could be your supervisor, this could be a teammate, but it's someone that you can talk to, someone that can hold you accountable, ask you questions, right? Because you don't want to get in a situation where you're doing this alone and you start going awry. That happens sometimes. People start working on their own and they get in their own little box, and even attitudes and things like that can start going awry if you don't have somebody to bounce things off with. Right? So make sure that you have somebody that you're talking to, you can bounce things off with. They can keep you accountable. You can keep them accountable, right? And it just makes your work life better. And finally, reward yourself. Reward yourself for a job well done. Once you get that list done, you've checked things off, reward yourself. Sometimes I will reward myself with a walk around the block at lunch, right? Or better yet, I just got a new motorcycle, and sometimes I'll jump on that motorcycle. I'll take a 15 to 30-minute motorcycle ride just around the neighborhood to reward myself for getting some things done. Now, I don't do that. I'll sometimes work through lunch if I didn't get everything done. And so that's a bad thing probably, but anyway, but reward yourself for having a job well done. Now, hopefully after listening to this and looking at this, you've seen some examples of what remote working opportunities are. You've seen some skill sets that are required. You've seen how we've even talked about how, the whole economy, things are shifting, right? The world of work is shifting towards this. And so it might be really good to check out that list, go back and watch this again, take a screenshot of some of those traits and work on those, right? Definitely go back and take a screenshot of the workforce centers, right? And our address and everything, and check that out, because those are resources. And the other links, what were the other two? The Work in Texas, right? And the other one that was from the federal government, Career One Stop. Definitely check those out. Make sure you check out those links to help you in your next job search. So whether you're looking for something remotely and you're interested in this virtual opportunities, or you're just looking for a job with someone else, both of those have definite resources that can help you. Honing all of these skills that we talked about, these essential skills for the workplace, will definitely help you. So with that, I want to thank you so much. My name is Stephen Bridges. I'm with Workforce Solutions Greater Dallas. If you want to contact me, there's my phone number and my email, but definitely also check out our website. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us today. Hopefully you've got some really good value out of this. I know I enjoyed sharing it with you, and I just wish you the best in your job search, and contact us if you need us. Y'all have a good day.